Hi, Jorge.
Hi, Dana. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I really miss this show. So
I
every
know.
Friday now is kind of like exciting.
I
Love your
know. I
new
know.
background.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone, to the Coffee with the Ducks show. If you're new here, Jorge and I do these shows every other Friday now. We just shifted them, where we get to interview a different member of the StreamYard team to kind of give you a behind the scenes look of who's building StreamYard, who's working on it. I think it's so fun if you go to the live chat ever to get tech support. You get to know who's in there. But today we have our marketing team, Alana from our marketing team joining us. And hello, everyone. Thanks for all your comments. Let us know where you're tuning in from, and if you have any questions for our StreamYarder. I think that's what we're calling us
StreamYard. I
now.
see lots of people. The chat right now is so vibrant. So thanks to a lot of you for your messages. As Dana said, let us know where you're from. I'm now in Spain. Dana is in Washington. Is that correct?
Yep, Washington. That's me. I think we're ready to bring Alana on. Are you
Let's
ready?
do this. Yeah.
Let's do this. Alana, welcome to our show.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Everybody waiting and watching. We're building the suspense today. I love it.
I know. I love it
Dana,
too.
you are so energetic. We are extremely happy to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been looking forward to this since I started, and I'm like one of the newest members of the team. So I was like, woo, I'm up.
I love
I
that.
would like to start breaking the ice. I see lots of books on your back. So tell us which one is your favorite
Ah,
book?
well, I specifically curated this stack for you guys today.
No way.
Because so a lot of people ask, like, what is a product marketing manager? And the easiest way to explain that is that I get to tell your stories. Honestly, I have the best job at StreamYard, or at least I think so, because a big part of what I do is research to find out how people are using all of the different features and functions, and to tell the stories of the users so that other people can discover those amazing things that we're able to do. So my stack for you today are some of my favorites from like the last decade. So I've got Essentialism, Story Brand, Raving Fan, Secret Service, what else? Digital storytelling. I don't know if you guys can see that. I know it's kind of small on camera, what have you, but yeah, there's a pretty good stack there. And that's really like it encompasses the whole job of marketing, but also customer experience, which has really grown over the last decade. And yeah, so that's the stack, Jorge.
Okay, so you said my job is telling story. So now
It's
tell the story of
telling
you.
stories. Well, and that's, you know, what's the funny and ironic thing about this is that I'm terrible at telling my own stories. I'm all about, I was never a cheerleader in high school. I played soccer competitively, but now I get to cheerleader for all these businesses and individuals and makers that use us, but I'm terrible at telling my own story. Um, yeah, like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it like a video reel. Okay. So I've got three snapshots that I'm going to give you to kind of tell my story. So, the first one was I was a teenager and I was working at a retail that's kind of like REI in the States, Mountain Equipment Co-op in Canada, so kind of along that lines. And we learned about the products that we were selling through these sessions that were called PK sessions. So you would, go to high school, and then in the evening you would go to work for 3 or 4 hours, and then you would stay for an extra half hour after work for these PK sessions, which were called product knowledge sessions. And that's where, as a teenager, I first learned like the Venn diagram of price, quality, and service. And so we were taught to talk to the people that could come into the store and ask them questions like, oh, you're looking for this tent. Well, what are you going to use it for? And how many people need to sleep in it? And how many seasons? And, what's your budget? And then you would kind of direct them towards that particular item that fits for their lifestyle and what they're looking for. And there was always that dilemma of price over quality, right? So we always had this idea that it was higher price to get better quality, and consumer behavior became very interesting to me even early on. So that's like a high school snapshot. And if anybody's wondering about that, like price quality service, you can Google it. Just do consumer pyramid and you'll get the diagram. Okay, so number 2, fast forward. In my 20s, and I'm going to date myself here. I've been in software for 20 years. So
20 years.
20
Dana,
years.
that's crazy.
Yeah, and actually 20 years like this fall. So so not to be a downer, but everybody, it's like, where you were September 11th, 2001. And so I was living in Vancouver, and I woke up in the morning and the news media was already going crazy. And I was about a week in on my first job working for a call-in support center as the exec assistant to their president. I just started. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on? And so got into work that day, and obviously the news media was hitting the West Coast. Everybody was trying to figure out everything that was happening. But by the afternoon, we found out that our VC funding had fallen through, and 80% of our employees were laid off. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to my job? And I was told, our employees need help, so you're going to be here through the end of the week, and then I really don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, okay, this is my first job, and I'm a week in, and it's already over. Like, okay, I was in tears. Let's admit, I was in tears. But so were everybody else that I was working with, because they had been there a lot longer. And thankfully, silver lining, my name was passed off, and it went with it with the tag, I found the needle in the haystack, which was super amazing. And my name was sent over to another startup, and that's where I spent the next 5 or 6 years. It was the really, really early days of what today is kind of known as Eventbrite, but it was before Eventbrite was even a concept. So people weren't putting credit cards in online like they are today. We weren't even putting data into forms like we are today. But I started in that startup November 2001 and was there for the following 5 years. And I learned so much, like so many life lessons about, I traveled the States doing presentations to venture capitalists and investors, and was the product expert for the software. It was amazing. And I learned a lot about what not to do in a startup. So that adventure ended quite a few years later with the company. Ultimately, they were trying to go for an IPO, and they ended up getting bought out. It's a sad story. One day I can give you guys all the information. But yeah, it doesn't always go the way that you think it's going to go. So I learned some really awesome lessons early on. That's number 2, snapshot number 2. So snapshot number 3 was about 10 years ago in my 30s. And I was at a leadership conference, like one of these things where you're in the big room with all these people who have paid thousands of dollars, and you're looking at the person on stage. I know it's been a while since we've done that, but well, just remind you guys what that looks like. Just imagine.
Hi, Alana. My Brooklyn. He was trying to get to open the door. So
yes, mine's downstairs, hopefully sleeping. So I haven't heard her whining yet. Hopefully sleeping.
Sorry, keep going.
No, all good. So bring your minds back to leadership conference. So we're all sitting and watching this like speaker on stage, and the speaker starts talking about this next part, this next segment that they're going to be doing, and so. The question here is, there are 3 ways to break a board of wood. Like we're talking like karate, like break a board of wood. And so he explains these 3 ways, and they start passing out the wood to the people in the audience. So we're actually going to be expected to do this. And so you start thinking about, okay, well, how am I going to do this? And he's like, okay, let me give you the 3 ways to break the wood. It's like, first of all, you can hold it on the ground and like kick it with your foot to break it in half. That's the easiest way. That's option number 1. Number 2, you can kind of hold it between 2 chairs and then knee it so that it breaks in half. That's number 2. So like medium hard. And then number 3 is like the karate chop method. cut it in half with your hand, like have somebody hold it and cut it in half with your hand. So I want to know, this question's for everybody that's watching right now. If you were given these 3 options, which one would you choose? Number 1, kick it with your foot. Number 2, knee it in half. Or number 3, karate chop, like the hardest way to do it. You're only given one piece of wood, you have to choose.
I think I would choose the kick it with your foot, because at least you could wear a shoe, and it wouldn't hurt as bad.
+1.
+1. Yeah, get the job done, kick it with your foot, make it easy, right? Yeah. So I learned something very important about myself that day, because I immediately went to, I want to see if I can do this. I want to see if I can karate chop this board in half. And I realized that part of my nature is to do it the hard way to prove to myself that I'm capable of doing things. And I've done that a lot in life. Can I hike this mountain? Can I do this trail hike? Can I do this master's degree? Can I do this? Can I do that? And so yeah, super curious. I don't know if anybody's starting to comment. I'm curious what others, is anybody else like me and you're going to choose like the hardest way? Raise my hands. Okay, good.
The hardest way is always the way to go.
25 years of martial arts? Dang, this is awesome. NLTMW says kick it and get the pain over with. Stuart says option number 2, which was the knee, right? And Lawrence says number 1, kick it. I like that.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a really good degree of people. And you know what was interesting in that room with all of those leaders? A lot of them wanted to show others, to demonstrate that they were so awesome. And maybe they would have chosen something else if they had the option to do it privately and just get the job done. But in a room full of people, they wanted to show that they could karate chop. And it was almost like proving that you're capable to do it the hard way. So those are my 3 kind of snapshots, which brings me to one of the things, a big part of what I do is research. And one of the things that I'm finding in our StreamYard community is a lot of people want to make it harder than it needs to be to get started. Kind of like me karate chopping a board. Just get an account, turn your camera on, go live.
Look at that. That was a plot twist.
Jorge said this is a plot twist. That's such a good point, Alana. And I think Kelsey likes to touch on that in the webinar. Like, just get started with what you have. Like, you don't have to have the fanciest camera, the fanciest mic. Like, you can upgrade to those down the road. But if you just get started with even like your iPhone or your iPad, you could still have a great show.
Yeah. And so like a lot of us, we look at the gurus and we look at the influencers and we're like, oh, I really want to get to where they are. That's so awesome. Look at their studio setup, or look at the peripherals and all of the different, equipment that they have. And then we kind of get scared to do it because we're like, well, I'm not going to look as good as them. Go back to that leadership conference. I want everybody to know that like high production quality and like my studio is awesome and all this kind of stuff. And then you just never move forward. So a big part of what I'm doing is collecting people in our community stories about where they're at when they're going live and what the biggest features are that they use and all those types of things. But really just to say, hey, your starting point, don't compare somebody else's tip of the iceberg to like your bottom of the iceberg or however that one goes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just start.
It's totally true. Actually, 2 things. First is I would like to know from our audience, what are the main features that they love most about a StreamYard? So you're touching about like, let's do like a temperature test here. And the second one is, I think you touched a really great point. And I think I made that mistake many times in my life. Anytime that I wanted to start anything new, I always put myself like, oh no, I need to get the best computer ever. I need to get the best equipment. I want to do tennis. Oh, I want to get the best racket. And ultimately, I agree with you. It's like, if you see people like Gary V that actually uses StreamYard, he's like in a very crappy camera in front of other people doing the show, right? And if you see a lot of TikTokers and people putting content online, it's like, most of the time quality is important if you are especially doing like photography or video or something that actually is part of your job. But for regular people, I think it's more important what you did today, Alana, which is like the right example, which is telling the story, convincing people, do the plot twist. So thanks for that reminder. What do you think, Dana?
I love that. And Melanie says the best workout clothes don't drop the pounds. That is such a good analogy. Yep. Because you know me, I go to Lululemon and I'm like, this new Lululemon pants are going to make me work out harder, but it does not work like that.
Yeah, and we've all done that, right? Like everybody's got an example in their life where they're like, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to take this course, I'm going to buy this equipment, I'm going to read this book. Yeah. And the thing that makes the difference is showing up week after week and getting that pattern, just like, the workout, showing up every single day and doing the workout regardless of the equipment that you have. And that's what's really going to...
I think the hardest probably is like I don't even know if this exists in English, but the dessert time where it's like nobody knows you. You're actually very new into the game. And it's actually very hard. Because like, I feel like when you build your brand and you grow, it's like the more content you put out there, the more people will appreciate that content. And to some extent, you will feel like, oh, I'm changing people's life, or I'm just like giving some thoughts that people give me back. But when you're starting and nobody knows you, that's super hard. And I think, Alana, you touched a great point, which is show up every week. Show up at any time that you want, but show up. And I think we actually, in the previous Coffee with the Ducks, we said something like, at the beginning, if you're alone, just bring your friends or some other people. So you will not feel that alone in that sense. But great points.
Yeah, bring your friends. I even like just going through it, even in record mode, if you're not comfortable going live, just go, sit down, put it on record only, and do as if you're doing it to an audience. And then look back on it and say, okay, I want to tweak this, I want to do that separately. And so the other thing I hear a lot is that people don't know what to talk about. And so I think that bringing in a friend to interview you, if you're a business owner, I've done this a lot previously with like consulting clients, is just sitting down behind the camera and asking them those questions. Like, take the questions that you guys are asking me and pretend that you're the one being interviewed, and how would you answer those? But you're answering it to the camera, or you're answering it to recording. And then get through being just comfortable on camera if that's the thing that's holding you up. But I agree, Jorge. It's that period of time before you start to get the views, because people are too focused on the views. They're not focused on
content,
making sure that their content is how they want to message who they are and what they're doing while they're practicing to be able to get their message out there. So what are you good at? What do you want to talk about? All of those topics, and there's plenty of people out there who have like slide decks of different topics to talk about. There's everything, weather, events of the day that are coming up. Not to drop the teaser, but like we've got a women's event coming up for International Women's Day. So.
Ooh.
It's like, it for me, it's kind of like, if you're passionate about a fashion, like if you work in fashion, if you are a marketing expert. By the way, someone is saying in the chat that I look like Daniel. So,
I know that's so funny. I don't know. I've never thought about it.
The hair.
It might be the hair.
Probably. Anyway, so thanks for the compliment, because Daniel is amazing. So thanks for that. But my point is like, so to your points, Alana, is that if you are working on a daily basis on business or in whatever, you have the knowledge to actually tell people stories, and you have the knowledge to share exactly what you do. Like, for example, for me, what I do on TikTok is like share my day-to-day life. I mean, not like I'm eating or I'm having breakfast. It's like I'm doing this, like I'm coding. These are the challenges that I'm facing. I'm doing this. These are the challenges. And when you start putting those type of content, you see that people actually in the comments start bringing you up other topics. So to some extent, it's like when you hit, oh my God, my hair is like so amazing. When you hit a certain number, there is a point that if you overcome that step, your community will actually nurture, will actually give you stuff. So I think, I think like to experience that, which is the cool part, takes a lot of time. Well, depends, right? Depends what is your marketing strategy. So you know that better than me. But once you do that, it's
but it depends who you are, right? Like if you're a maker or a gamer or somebody else and you're an independent and you're just kind of sharing vlog style what you're doing in your life, your content's going to be different than if you're running a business and trying to get exposure. And so, on the back of what you're sharing, this last year has been so hard for small business owners. And so many of them are struggling and trying to figure out, what do I do to really make a difference in my business? And, that anecdote from 10 years ago about me sitting with those leaders and stuff in that room and learning about the customer experience when that was like the new trend 10 years ago. It's morphed over the last 10 years because of technology. And that's the most amazing thing. One of the seminars on that weekend was how to compete with an 800-pound gorilla for small businesses. And it was all about the Raving Fans book and the Secret Service book that I've got beside me here, and those little tricks in retail that you can use to keep those customers coming back. Those same things can be used online. They're just tweaked. So I want to share the story that I'm going to call it the tale of the two retail stores. So,
dun, 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 dun. Wait for the story of Alana. But before the story of Alana, give it a thumbs up if you're enjoying the show. Keep going, Alana.
Oh, I'm going to model here too. So just, so the tale of two retail stores. So I love shopping consignment. I love secondhand. I love the treasure hunt of it all. And there's two women's consignment stores that I am a regular at locally here. It allows me to circulate my wardrobe and all those types of things. Lots of great benefits. Now, they've handled this past year very differently. Somebody said last week the keywords for 2020 were pivot and resilience. One of them was kind of like, nope, I just can't handle this. I'm closing down. I'll do curbside, and that's all I'm going to do. The other one was like, this is the most amazing thing ever. We are going to double down on our online store, and we're going to start doing this VIP shopper experience. So they did 3 different things that I think are noteworthy. You could call in with them and they would do depending on whatever app you had, like a Skype call or a Snapchat or whatever, and they would go around the store and be like, what are you looking for? And they would go through the rack and show you that. They also had other things where they were shopping for you when you weren't even online. Like I'm always going through my Facebook feed because they're always posting stuff of the day, but they get thousands of products that they don't take pictures of. So they'll do your color wheel for you so that they know what your wardrobe, if you're doing a capsule wardrobe and you've got your size, the colors that you want, all that kind of stuff. And if they have something that comes in, they think you're going to they send you a picture and you can be like, yep, I want it, or no, I don't want it. And they'll just put it on your account. And the last thing that they're doing, fashion shows via StreamYard. So They're using their own staff. Instead of stagnant, we're just going to show a picture, we're going to have our own staff with the masks on come in and out of our changing rooms, and we're going to highlight these outfits Friday while you're drinking your wine or whatever. Melanie, unfortunately, they don't ship out. They're just local right now, which I think is kind of limiting them.
Unfortunately, that's an opportunity. Let's do a business with them.
I know, and I wish I had a media release for them too, or else I would drop their name and just be like, "Hey, guys, you need to be doing this. You're getting international coverage here."
Wow, that's so cool.
Right? So 2 different ways to approach things. And I get that we were talking the other day about digital dinosaurs. I get some people are super afraid of technology, but choose one of those 3 if you're in retail and see what's working for you. And they've already got the following. So it's not like they're sitting there going live and people aren't going to watch. People want to see that, like, we're at home bored. We want to shop. So yeah, put the product in front of me so I can buy it.
Wow, good tips, Alana. I like that. So fun that Melanie said, "What's the name of the store?" Like they're getting all this press from our live stream shows. I think
I actually feel, Dana, you interviewed me for your show with Kelsey.
Yeah. Huh? We should interview them.
Yes. Yes.
We should interview you.
I like that you were like, what did you say, Jorge? Like what?
Well, Jorge, that's it, right? Like part of my job is identifying these, what I like to call like up and coming, right? Like they're, when Daniel was interviewed by Ross, he talked about nano influencers. And I think the thing that I'm so excited about, and I told this to Gage when we were, onboarding me part of the hiring process, is I said, most people can't really relate to those really big influencers who've made it over the last decade. They put in the time. They're amazing. There's no question. But a small retailer is like, I can't do what they're doing. I don't even want to do what they're doing. This is my business. I love doing it. How do I just do this? Churches, all of the people that we have that are doing pre and post show sporting types of things. We were just talking about prom and wedding season and graduation season. All of that's coming up in the next couple of months. And depending on where you live, we still can't do that in person. So we've got schools looking for different ways to do summer school, different ways to do commencement ceremonies, graduation ceremonies, all of those types of things. And our community is phenomenal. We have users who are doing that already. And so we're really going through and finding who they are. And Dana they will be on Spotlight, I promise.
I love that. Great idea, Jorge. Thanks for nominating them.
It's a pleasure. We actually, Daniel, let's do one last question that I really need to ask Alana, and we move to the lightning round, which is my favorite part, is your favorite part, is everybody's favorite part. But thanks a lot of people. Like a lot of people are actually commenting. They are on fire, and it's all your fault, Alana. So they are on fire. And also, there's a lot of great feature request ideas. Please, guys, go to StreamYard.com/contact and send us like your feature requests, your crazy ideas, or even if you wanted to be part of user interviews and help us shape the future of StreamYard. And also, I see people from Portugal and Spanish. There is something coming up soon. So please, if you are from those countries, you want to help us with some initiatives and ideas, also go to StreamYard.com/support/contact. Well, support, I think, is the same. And just send us a hello message. My last question for you, Alana, and let's be brief because I know Dana is getting impatient about the lightning round.
It's almost my turn.
I'm a huge believer of online education, Alana. I know you deeply care about education. We share that in common. We are very passionate about that. It's super important, right? So I would like to tell us, what do you think is going to be the trend now that we live in this like pandemic world with the StreamYard and live businesses and live content? What's going to be the trend for 2021 for education or online education in particular?
Ooh. We were just talking about this the other day. Honestly, it chokes me up. It gets me really emotional. So we've got so many students who, like last year, were supposed to start their first year of college, their first year of university, and they didn't have that social experience because it was online. So everybody's craving, you grow up thinking about what college, what university am I going to go to if that's on the table for you. It's not on the table for everybody. And that college university experience is something, we see it in the movies and we think it's going to go a certain way. And it did not go that way for these students. We're definitely going to be seeing ongoing hybrid learning experiences. But to those people who are like, do I go to school? Do I take a gap year? Do I start working? I want you to really look at not what the world is telling you to do, but what is right for you, because you can go back later. So I worked for 10 years, 20 years in software. I took a break at about year 10 and I went back to school and I did my master's. So you can go back. You can work for a few years and you can go back. You can make whatever you want work. I've got 2 recommendations. Go watch these. So Steve Jobs' commencement address and Lisa Kudrow has a commencement address as well. They both talk about similar things, but they tell their own stories in their own ways. And so Steve Jobs talks about breadcrumbs and really staying curious and looking at those things along the way that are your path. I like to think of them as like choose your own adventure. You might think you're going in a certain direction and then you go in the completely opposite direction thinking that it's a complete mistake. And in reality, hindsight's 2020. And I've got 20 years in IT to be like, oh, that didn't make sense at the time, but that was exactly where I was supposed to be, because now I'm repeating the pattern. I'm with another startup. We're moving super fast in terms of our growth. I'm with a company who was just acquired. My previous job for the last 10 years, I started where the company had just been acquired by a UK company. Some really funny coincidences. So you start to see these and you're like, oh, okay, that's why I had that experience. And that experience could be as little as what you had for breakfast yesterday or somebody's name that you hear on the street. And Lisa Kudrow talks about it in a similar way. And it's like a divine detour, because she didn't get one job, but then she ended up on Friends. And like, I get goosebumps when I think about that, because these are the patterns, these are the clues. And everybody has this. Doesn't matter what your year was in 2020. It was really hard for some people. Some people, it was awesome. And there it's like the lightning round. Now we got to get to it, right? And yeah, just look back and take time to, whether Charlie talked about like doing morning pages or journaling, take time to like look at your life and figure out what you really, really want and what you've done as a kid or as a teenager or in college to decide what is really making, like putting your soul on fire, right? And follow that. Because it didn't, Steve Jobs and Lisa Kudrow, it didn't lead them astray. So
awesome. Thanks so much for that. We are transitioning to the lightning round, but I just want to say this story. So you just saying, hey, I was using a StreamYard for school exhibition, such as signing competition. Please reach out to us. We want to showcase these stories to our community. This is awesome. So go to StreamYard.com/contact and reach out to us. Tell us your story, because we want to showcase those stories. Those are the stories that makes this product amazing, where basically we see the value of this product helping tons of people in different new ways. So after that, thanks you that and all the rest of the people that were sharing your stories as well, it's time for you, Dana, to take it with the lightning round.
Woohoo! Okay, this is my favorite part of the show. It is called the lightning round, where we have 10 questions for you, Alana, that we'll ask super fast, and 1 or 2 word answers is all we need from you.
Oh, I'm terrible at that. Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
Okay, first one. Do you like texting or talking?
Neither. I like talking in person. Very, very much talking. Yeah.
Favorite day of the week?
Ooh. Wednesdays.
Interesting. Favorite city in the world besides the one you live in?
Have to be where I did my master's degree, Lancaster, UK.
Ooh, cool. The nickname your parents used to call you?
Had a lot of nicknames. My father-in-law calls me Sparky to this day.
Sparky, I like that. Okay. What's your favorite holiday?
Halloween. Love dressing up.
Okay. Scale from 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
Ooh, to go with Julie on this one, 8, because I also went to motorcycle school, so
That's so cool. Wow. Weird thing to have in common.
It
I
is.
love
I was never a mechanic though. Wish I was, but yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that would be cool. Okay, how long does it take you to get ready in the morning?
Oh my goodness. It depends, right? Camera ready is different than work ready outdoor with the kids kind of thing. So
Mhm.
to get everybody fed and dressed and backpacks, which doesn't have anything to do with me, just has to do with them. We're probably at like 45 minutes or so.
2 minutes.
40.
Yeah.
Nice. Not bad. Okay, the age you want to retire.
We'll have to continue this one in another show because technically I'm already retired.
Oh, cool. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have to learn more about that in another episode, Jorge. Okay, next
What a
This is what
cliffhanger.
I choose to do in retirement. Isn't that amazing?
Got
You
it.
just done a
That's
clip
cool.
hand. I love you, Alana.
That's cool. Okay, the next question is, what was your last Halloween costume?
So I've got 2 kids and they chose the Incredibles. So our family went as the Incredibles, including baby Jack, which was a Cabbage Patch Kid.
Cute. Okay. And the last question is, say any word in Spanish.
Ooh, el pollo loco.
Jorge, what does that mean?
Crazy chicken.
chicken.
But you sounded like awesome.
That was so fun. Alana, great
I
job.
figure out what's duck? Duck loco. Yeah.
Oh,
That-
I see. Mhm.
I see.
Crazy StreamYard duck.
That's
Well,
so
Alana,
long,
thank
Dana.
you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being our guest and taking the time to let our audience get to know the real you behind the scenes.
It's been so
Alana,
fun.
you know what's happened now? Who do you nominate next?
Oh goodness, we've had a lot of the marketing team on. So yeah, has Noah been on yet? Let's bring in some of our
I
awesome dev team.
So, I
Has
think
he?
Pick
so.
someone else. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pick somebody else.
somebody else.
the support team.
Well, that's what I was thinking, right? I heard, is it Kelsey that's doing voiceovers for commercials? Has she been on?
She has not been on.
Okay. I want to learn more about voiceovers and
Oh, fun.
yeah.
No, about
Okay.
Broadway shows, musical. I'm excited already. I'm just gonna start preparing the questions right now.
Woo. Okay, so Kelsey's up next, and Alana, this has been great. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank
Dana,
you.
you know now what happens, right?
What?
What happens to the audience, to the people? What all of them should do now?
Oh, like our show, follow our channel.
Leave a comment.
Okay, you tricked me on that one.
We love
I
you,
love
people.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with another episode. Bye, you guys.